so lonesome all the time since I left my baby behind on Blue Bayou. Saving nickels, saving dimes, working till the sun don't shine, looking forward to happier times on Blue Bayou. I'm going back someday, come what may, to Blue Bayou, where the folks have fun and the world is mine on Blue Bayou, where those fishing boats with their sails afloat, if I could only see a familiar sunrise through sleepy eyes, how happy I'd be. Wanna see my baby again, wanna be with some of my friends, maybe I'll be where the folks are fine and the world is mine on Blue Bayou, where those fishing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we all this day.
I took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down. Climb a mountain and turn around, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, where the landslide bring it down, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide will bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down. took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down.
The stars have called you home, Mum, up high, far away. I think they missed your brilliance. They just couldn't let you stay. You've shone that light of yours, Mum, on all the lives you touched. We've known your joy for years and years. I guess they thought enough. They need your light up there now. This world grows ever dark. Your passion will rain down like love, dripped into every heart. The stars have called you home now. We'll miss you every day, and every night we'll scour the skies to watch you where you lay. And when dark clouds are gathering and the heirs to honour the life of the loving matriarch of your family, Shirley Annie Muriel Patterson, a beautiful woman who was so much to so many. On behalf of her loving children, David, Robert, Catherine, Michelle, Stephen and Jackie, her adoring grandchildren, Misa and Ziggy, her devoted brothers, Winston, deceased, and Morris and their families, I welcome you and thank you for being here to celebrate Shirley's life and to say goodbye to her in a loving and meaningful way. I also welcome all those who are viewing online as they were unable to join us in the chapel. You are all here today because you have one important thing in common. Your lives have been touched by the good fortune of having known Shirley, either as a mother, mother-in-law, nana or sister or auntie or cousin or colleague or friend. She was so incredibly special to you all, and I know she will never be forgotten. Our time together is an opportunity to share memories of the life and personality that was Shirley, a quiet, reserved woman, a selfless lover of the underdog, whose strength and determination were evident throughout her life. Following Shirley's interment in the Burney Lawn Cemetery, our chapel is yours to enjoy light refreshments together, to share your stories and to support one another. A down-to-earth, no fuss, no tears sort of woman, Shirley would hate being the centre of attention today, but her death does unite us all, and it's inevitable that there is sadness and there will be tears. But you must always remember, the most beautiful tear does not fall in sorrow, it falls in remembrance. It slips down your cheek in a quiet moment when laughter echoes from the past, when dreams once held close still stir gently in your heart, and when the memory of a voice or a smile brings both warmth and ache. It is a tear born not of pain, but of love so deep it refuses to fade. It speaks of always face the future with courage and strength. Shirley's eulogy has been crafted lovingly by her family, her children, and David will now bring that to us. Thank you, David.
Excuse me. We are here today to remember and honour our beautiful, wonderful mother, Shirley Annie Muriel Patterson. I'm speaking on behalf of my brothers and sisters, Robert, Catherine, Michelle, Stephen and Jackie, and also our niece and nephew, Misa and Ziggy, and also the other members of the family, Uncle Morris and the cousins and auntie in New Zealand. Mum was born on the road and of Muriel Olive French, maiden name Chu, who was born in India and later raised in Sprayton and Railton areas. Muriel was a nurse, and it's clear that compassion ran in the family. Shirley grew up on a farm in Yolla. Life there was rich with lessons of responsibility. She and her brothers would walk to school, sometimes in the snow, especially fond of her mother's brother, Uncle Basil. Mum was intelligent and driven from early on. She received excellent marks in her modern school certificate in 1949. In 1952, she completed a course in invalid cookery at the Burnie Tech College, as it was then, and by 54 had passed her St John's ambulance first aid. In 1955, she became one of the first two nurses to complete training at the new then Burnie Hospital. It was a proud achievement for her. The class size was actually larger at the beginning. There was only two who completed. But she didn't stop there. She gained her midwifery certificate at the Queen Victoria Hospital in Launceston, and in 1957 she completed a certificate in mothercraft at the childcare in childcare in Hobart. Mum worked as a midwife at the Spencer Hospital in Wynyard, where her own mother was the head midwife. For Mum, nursing was not just a job, it was her calling. While working at Burnie Hospital, Mum knew of our father but hadn't met him until he landed in the emergency department after a motorcycle accident. I was told that he came in with about 4 inches of bone sticking out of his leg, so must have been love at first sight. They married in 1957 and built a life together grounded in family care and hard work. When Dad's mother, our Nana Patterson, moved in, Mum cared for her for nearly a decade in our home. That's just who she was, a woman who gave care and without hesitation and complaint. Mum paused her nursing career to raise the children. In the 60s there was 4 of us, and in the 70s 2 more were born, but continued to work at times. In 1965 she became a teacher's aide at Jones Street Preschool, and later in the 80s she became a teacher's aide at the Montello Primary School, sort of as a first step to getting back to work after being a housewife for a while. As her parents aged and moved into town, Mum was there for them. Later, Mum returned to nursing at Umina Park, eventually becoming a charge nurse for her area on a regular evening roster, balancing work, home with grace. Even in her working years, she kept learning, taking courses in soft furnishings and pattern making and design at the Burnie TAFE in the fashion department, and later did woodworking as an adult education course. She officially retired in the early 2000s, though she never really stopped being active. One of Mum's lifelong passions was sewing, taught by her mother and honed by experience. She became incredibly skilled and, to a large extent, self-taught. She made and mended clothes for all of us, crafted costumes for her daughter's ballet performance, and even took a levelwork course to make Jackie a school belt and sandals. She taught herself patchwork quilting while still working and devoted herself to it even more in retirement. She joined quilting groups in Wynyard and Burnie and led Friday mornings at the High Time group in May Street. Mum was also an expert knitter. Later she took to took up knitting socks, and I think there's a couple on the table over there, which became a bit of a specialty. Mum had a natural touch with nature, especially in the garden. She'd say she looked forward to the days getting longer because it meant more daytime for gardening, and looked forward to daylight savings. But no matter the season, we would often hear her say there's just not enough hours in the day to get all the things I want to do done. She loved her cactus, which used to be by the front door. When we left the house, she made a tradition of counting the cactuses at flowers at Christmas. These were big, bright red flowers, quite stunning. We picked youngberries from the bushes in our backyard each year, so many that we go door to door selling them. During the summer, Steve and Jackie would pitch a tent in the backyard and Mum would join them, setting up her alarm to get up and head off to work at Mewmina Park. And if we ever picked irises off the bush to show her we loved her, she'd smile and say, that's lovely, but they last longer in the bush. I think there's a couple of irises from Mum's garden in the flower arrangements. Mum love of animals was legendary. Excuse me. Over the years, our home welcomed dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, ducks, chickens, bantams, a tortoise, blue-tongued lizards, goldfish, budgies, a patamillion, a wallaby, and all sorts of birds. Robert even had a redback spider in a jar which she fed with flies. Mum just let it be, understanding that this was even part of a child's curiosity. One of the most special stories was the blackbird Robert rescued about 15 years ago. Mum hand-raised a chick named Cheaper and released her into the wild. Cheaper came back often, landing just a foot or so from Mum's shoulder. Truly trusting her, she even brought back her chicks each year to show Mum, and that gentle connection that kind of was so typical of her. And that Cheaper was completely trusting of Mum. Mum also had a wonderfully cheeky, slightly wicked sense of humour. She loved what she called ironic mishaps in comedies. When Stephen was little, helping feed the ducks, she'd sneak up behind him and peck the back of his legs with her fingers. If we lingered by the heater instead of picking up grass for the rabbits, which was one of our chores, she'd come in from picking grass and the grass with cold icy hands and shove them up our shirt. There was also the sock snake, which was made to stop Stephen Woods made to stop Stephen raiding the fridge as a child. Mum took an old khaki sock, sewed on some eyes and told him it was a snake. It soon stopped him in his tracks. One evening, Dad wanted a bowl of ice cream and seemed to want Mum to get it for him. Mum was busy preparing food, but Mum told him to get it himself. Dad asked where the ice cream was and Mum replied, in the oven. Dad actually looked in the oven before he realised he'd been had. And we never let him forget it either. She was clever and tactful too. If a child was fussy, she'd sit beside them, cutting up an apple and eating it and slowly until they asked for a piece. Dinner was a game of imagination. Meat loaf became goanna. Sausages were dinosaur patties and vegetables became vegetables, fried and disguised with creativity so that they didn't look like vegetables. Mum was endlessly capable, quietly brilliant and deeply compassionate. She didn't boast, she didn't demand attention, she simply did the work of love, day in and day out, for all of us. She leaves behind not just memories, but wisdom, humour, creativity, and a kind of love that beat and laugh at a lifetime. We miss you, Mum. We're grateful for every lesson, every laugh, every meal, every moment. Thank you for everything. We love you, and we always will.
Well done, David. Your mum certainly was a remarkable woman, and it was a beautifully written eulogy. The world definitely has lost a wonderful lady who was always full of love, compassion and kindness. We now have the privilege of viewing a first set of photographs depicting aspects of Shirley's life that have been collected from family albums. The family have chosen Zorba the Greek by Kostas Papadopoulos and Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Israel Kamakawi to accompany these.
dream of dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dream that you dare to, oh why can't I? Oh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dreams that you dare to, why, oh why can't I?
Wonderful memories contained within that group of photos, and what a beautiful woman she was, inside and out. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon we do have tributes from Shirley's family. The first is from a little person, Misa, who's going to come forward with Jackie, and then instead of me asking you all up, if we go Jackie, Stephen, Michelle, Catherine, Robert, David, and then I'll do Uncle Morris. Okay? So Misa and Jackie. Or just Misa on your own? Good girl. Big voice.
Shirley Patterson. Shirley Patterson was a kind, loving and hard-working mother with 6 kids called David, Robert, Catherine, Michelle, Stephen and Jacqueline. Her youngest child had 2 children called Misa and Ziggy. She would often rescue animals and nurse them back to health, even if she had 6 children underfoot. She was also a nurse and grew up on a farm. She got her children loads of pets like dogs, cats, lizards, ducks, chooks and guinea pigs, and even a baby long-eared bat and a red pally-melon joey. She got chased by a bull while she was walking to school. She found out she could run as fast as a bull. She sewed ballet costumes for her daughters and was incredible at patchwork quilting. She was smart, wise and a kind, loving mother that only wanted her kids to get along.
Well done, sweetheart. What a great effort from a little person. Well done. Thanks, Jackie.
What's yours? Okay. A tribute to Mum. Mum was quite an adventure in her own right. She may not have travelled the world, but she thought that she read through countless books she'd borrowed from the library, especially autobiographies of fascinating people and their journeys. She explored many lives and places. Mum loved learning about the world, about people and their experiences, and I always felt lucky that through my own travels I got to share a piece of that world with her. At 23, I landed a job as a scuba diving instructor on a 5-star island resort in Fiji. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. And every week I used to use my one long-distance phone call to call Mum. I'd tell her about the incredible dives I was doing, the game fishing, who won the local soccer match after work, and what I was learning about the culture. She listened to it all and was always interested and encouraging. Then one day I got the crazy idea, what if I could bring Mum to Fiji to see it all herself? It took some convincing. Every week I'd call and ask, Mum, have you picked up the form for your passport? Then the next week it'd be, Mum, have you filled the passport form out yet? And the week after that, Mum, did you get your passport photos taken? Anyone who's applied for a passport knows it's a bit of a task. But with a little nurturing and some gentle patience and persistence, we got there. Once the passport was sorted, my sister Michelle took her to buy a swimsuit, black with cute little colourful flowers. Mum couldn't swim and had a healthy fear of water, so I'm not even sure she'd ever owned one before. But she was ready. When she arrived at the airport, she was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. What a harrowing experience that was, she said, beaming. I was so proud of her. She was completely out of her comfort zone, and yet here she was, stepping into my world. On the island, Mum settled in beautifully. She chatted with village women about their traditional tapa cloth making and even joined a musical night where we both played on the bongo drums together. There was a wedding held at the resort during her stay. It was a honeymooners resort filled with young, wealthy, often famous American couples. And somehow, in the middle of it all, Mum became the centre of attention. She never sought the spotlight, so she was surprised when these young people were drawn to her, asking her advice about marriage and listening intently to her thoughts on life. She wasn't a woman of the world in the usual sense, but through her love of reading and her own trials in life, she had developed a wise and worldly perspective. Of course, Mum remained true to herself, always the nurse, always the animal lover. When a turtle was found injured on the main beach, and these weren't small turtles, they were quite large, they were sea turtles, she thought a bit of physiotherapy might do the trick. So despite her fear of water, she waded in, only up to her knees. She was afraid that she was going to fall in and drown, and then she gently tried to heal the turtle by giving it some physio on the flippers. But my proudest moment was when she trusted me enough to take her snorkelling. Mum had almost drowned when she was 18 and never learnt to swim. Yet here she was in the open ocean, life vest on, mask and snorkel in place, and her hand gripping mine tightly. We floated over 10 metres of colourful coral, tropical fish and vibrant life. She was terrified, but she did it. She even loved it, though I think the circulation in my hand will never be the same from that day. That was who Mum was, brave in quiet, beautiful ways, willing to grow, to try and experience, willing to step out of her comfort zone for those she loved. I'll forever be proud of her, and I'll always carry the memory of that trip and her hand in mine, and the fearless woman who taught me so much, not just about books and people, about courage, humility and love. And I've got a little poem that I've been holding on to for a while that I just have to get up on my phone. I've been carrying this poem around with me for quite a few years because you just never knew when Mum was going to go. She's been ageing and ageing and ageing over the years, but she's just kept on going. So I think even though we might have been expecting it at some point, I think it's hit us all sideways because she's just made her mind up, which is a great thing. She made her mind up and she's gone. But this poem, I think, speaks to Mum beautifully. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glint on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there, I did not die.
Thank you, Jackie. Beautiful words. Stephen?
Each of us is probably going to reiterate a lot of the same sentiments over Mum, because I guess that's how we all saw her. But here's my go. She hated the limelight, hated attention. She was very quiet and shy, and she would equally hate that this is all about her. So in that sense, I guess it's good she's not here for it. Despite her incredibly shy and gentle demeanour, underneath she was very tough and resilient. She took everything that life threw at her, kept her head held high, never lost sight of who she was. Very strong woman with a soft heart. She could never do enough for any person or an animal in need. That's already evidenced by stories and photos. She was an extremely stoic woman. She was never vocal about her problems or disappointments. She was not the type to complain about anything. In her own right, she had quite the sense of humour, as you've heard. And she would laugh. Her laugh would betray her shy nature. When she laughed strong. She found joy in simple things, and she was easy to please. Mum instilled a very solid life lesson in me. Whenever I'd come home from my old job with Parks and Wildlife, working in the bush for 10 solid days, living and working out of a tent, I'd come home in just a wrecked heap, and she'd be straight on to me. She'd tell me, empty your car, unpack all your gear, put your washing out, so you don't have to do it tomorrow when you're trying to rest. So given that I have done a lot of that kind of activity over the years and still do, stuff loading cars and bags packed, all that sort of thing, given I still do a lot of that, it's some of the best advice I've ever had, and I live by it. She had 2 craft groups in the years that just she and I were living together. On a Tuesday and a Thursday. She obviously loved her craft, whatever it may have been. So one of these groups was on our street, just up the road. The other was 20 minutes drive away. In her true style, she often walked to the local venue. We rarely asked for a lift, but sometimes. But she'd accept the lift to the distant venue, but would then organise a ride home so as not to be a nuisance, which is totally her style. She was so self-reliant that it was almost hard to do her a favour. Mum was very quietly passionate. She went about her life and hobbies with no fuss or bother to anybody else. As kids, she used to tell us off, particularly Jackie and I, for standing too close to the old oil heater. And we'd be standing there in our pyjamas and she'd be afraid that we were just going to go up in flames. And in hindsight, she was probably right. But to reinforce her point, she would often just come by and just suddenly just reach down and pat us on the back of the pyjama legs to press our pyjamas against our legs to prove how hot they were getting. I think it gave her a little bit of a giggle to see us jumping around. We had a blue heeler named Aisha, who was in one of the photos. She disappeared for several hours one day, and Mum got a bit worried, came to see me about it, and then she got a bit suspicious and started combing the yard looking for her. Normally she's not so quiet. Anyway, Mum found her in our precious strawberry patch, gorging herself on strawberries with a drool of pink froth pouring out of her mouth. And Mum was absolutely tickled pink by the side of it. And for years, when that story came up, she would just be glowing about it. She just loved it for some reason. In my early 20s, I had a serious accident up in the Central Highlands and search and rescue flight and 6 days in hospital. And my blood-soaked, very expensive sleeping bag was just tied up in a garbage bag, thrown out in the baking sun on the back porch for 2 months, and basically left for dead. While I'm recuperating, Mum tells me, "Don't worry, I'll try washing it." Mum was not one to throw things out. Anyway, it must have been a disgusting job. but 30 years later, I've still got the sleeping bag. True miracle. As for the bush days, 10 years of me coming out of the wilderness from a 10-day work shift and dumping disgusting clothing, as she'd say, put your washing out, often still crawling with leeches and bits of prickles and all sorts of wilderness stuff. 2 days later, it'd be washed, ready to go again. She never balked at it, just got on with it. That's a tough woman. When it was just Mum and I living at her house, we had our, as hard as it is to admit, we had our little soapy rituals. Certain shows we just watched tirelessly every day. And she'd spend every morning in the east-facing room sewing and doing craft. And she had a makeshift little table. She was never one to be stopped. So she just stretched an old table across 2 chairs, and that was her sewing table. And she'd be lapping up the strong morning light. She always, one thing that she did always voice is how much she loved good light to do activities, and she just liked good sunlight. She loved gardening, as we all know, and plants, and in the absence of formal facilities and benches and tables and stuff, she'd make shelves out of stacked bricks and boards. And she had a little spot underneath the Norfolk pine where she had all the plants racked up. Again, she's not going to be stopped, she'll just find a way to do it. For years we grew a big vegetable garden at home, and in one particular summer we had, amongst all the vegetables, we had silver beet growing wild through the garden in disjointed patches. And by accident we discovered little frogs basking in the full sunlight in the depressions in the leaves. And that was quite a novelty for both of us, and it became a daily ritual to go counting frogs and just checking up on them, making sure they were still there. She had 2 sayings that she regularly quoted to me, probably more, but 2 that I certainly remember, and both of which I believe were from her mother. One is, where there's a will, there's a way. That's something that she lived by. The other is, life is not living, but living in health. And that's something that I try to live by. Thanks, Mum.
Thank you, Stephen.
For Mum. I was 17 when I started going to work with Mum as a volunteer's nurse's aide. Mum was at the time working as a full-time sister in charge at Umina Park Home for the Aged. I quickly became aware of the high respect the other nurses and sisters held for Mum, that they really liked her, thought she was kind and compassionate and extremely good at her job. She was not only one of the first 2 ever nurses to be trained and to graduate from the original Old Burney Hospital back in the 60s, but she had been for her whole working life one of the best nurses. But it was during her daily and nightly rounds of the wards, visiting each patient in her charge, that the heart of this story lies. The patients all loved her, it was clear to see. Each patient's face would light up when Mum entered their room or stood by their bedside. They trusted her and looked forward to any opportunity for a conversation with her about news to share. But mostly they were seeking her kind reassurance from them that they would be okay. I saw how my mum worked. She was gentle with every patient and thorough in her care for them, in meeting their medical needs, no matter how small or large, and she attended to their emotional needs as well. Some of them took delight in telling me that she was their favourite, sometimes right in front of Mum, causing her to give a proud little smile as she blushed. Mum was authentic, true to herself. She was the real deal, and the doctors who visited the home, observing how she operated, knew that too, and she was held in high esteem by many of them. If there was a dressing to be done, they'd suggest give it to Sister Patterson to do. Her technique was superb. Eventually, I got my own shifts and started working independent of Mum. I'd walk into a patient's room and would be greeted with a big smile. They are pleased to see me, I thought. My ego soared. Then I'd hear, "Good to see you, Michelle. When's your mum back on?" Reality check. My ego still soared, but this time it was about Mum. I felt so proud for her, and I felt so proud of her. I realised that these vulnerable people, her patients, knew, like our family, what a truly unique woman Mum was, and how lucky they were to have her caring for them into their twilight years. But we were the lucky ones, really.
all of us kids. To have Shirley Annie Muriel for our mum was our blessing in life. I love you, Mum, now and forever.
My mother was a beautiful woman, and I think she was so humble she didn't realise. She taught me many important life lessons. These shaped the lives of each of her children. Mum chose a path with many branches and endured many hardships along the way. In her non-professional life, Mum chose the path of creativity, or at least it chose her. I remember most fondly her teaching me sewing and knitting, embroidery and all sorts of other crafts when I was very young. As I grew older, we shared a love of sewing clothes for the family, and Mum delighted in doing some pretty challenging mending, mostly of Stephen's trousers. When I was a teenager, Mum and I did a cottage industries course at TAFE. Little did we know that this was the beginning of Mum's journey on a new branch in her path, a journey into patchwork and quilting, which became one of the defining accomplishments in Mum's life. I mention this because, and I know you've heard it before, but about Mum's sewing and patchwork, but Mum had a beautiful aesthetic as a patchwork quilter. Her meticulous craftsmanship came naturally to her. Her designs were inspiring. But my most enduring memory is her sense of colour. This was her true gift. That's why I'm wearing colour today. I'm wearing some of Mum's favourite colours. Mum's quilts serve as an enduring legacy to her children. Until her passing, I didn't appreciate that Mum wasn't simply creating quilts. Mum was creating memories for her children and her grandchildren. Her love of craft work and her family is expressed in every patchwork piece and in every quilted stitch. I have one of her quilts on my bed in Western Australia. It was a keepsake quilt, so she put all of the pictures, little squares of things that were meaningful in my life. Every time I look at the quilt, I notice something that I never noticed before. 3 Christmases ago, I asked Mum if she missed making quilts. She said, "I've made about 20 of them in my mind." Mum and I shared a special moment when she visited me in Western Australia. We witnessed a green flash. This is a rare meteorological event that occurs with the rising or setting sun. Mum and I went to one of the beaches. We were looking out west over the ocean. Mum was just in front of me, and I said to Mum, "Look out towards the sun, we might see a green flash." Mum turned around and said to me, "What?" And I said, "Mum, look," and I just pointed out the sun. She turned around, and in that moment, we actually saw a green flash. Mum was so ecstatic to see such a beautiful flash of green. In the years following that, whenever Mum was a bit disappointed about something, I would say, "But Mum, you've seen a green flash." Mum's face would light up, and with a cheeky smile she would say, "I did, didn't I?" Mum endured enormous hardship so that her children would have a better life, and I will be forever grateful for the life lessons I got from my caring, creative, loving mother. I will miss Mum terribly, but always hold my memories of her close to my heart.
Robert.
True to the family tradition, we're all running late for this funeral, so my speech is the least developed of any of them. And Mum was long suffering at our lack of ability to keep to timetable. She was always ready early, and we weren't. Okay, well, I'll probably reiterate a lot of things that have already been said. Mum was a softly spoken person and she'd like to be the centre of attention. Yeah, when we were just last week, we were trying to think of things to say about Mum. It was difficult actually coming up with anything because she's not. It wasn't sort of flashy and all that. She was just dependable and reliable. But certain things came out that appealed to us, and it's what you really want in a person. She didn't go out of her way to do exciting things in a traditional sort of way, but if she was doing something with a family, she was always willing to have a go. So, for instance, Jackie got her over to Fiji, and she went scuba diving when she couldn't even swim. Snorkeling, snorkeling, couldn't even swim. And when Jackie was still in high school, she paid or arranged for Mum to come and visit me in Cobram, and Mum ended up fruit picking. I did the ladder work, I assure you, and Mum just picked around the bottom. I wasn't meant to go into all these details, but we finished a bin off, and Mum says, "How long will it take us to kill the next one?" And I thought, this is the most violent comment I've ever heard my mother say. Then we managed to get almost the entire family in Sydney. Catherine had a conference there for the health department or something. And as you saw the picture, Mum loved giraffes and she loved elephants, and she got to feed the giraffe. We don't see Mum laughing a lot, but she just laughed with joy as she fed the giraffes. So I think that's one of the highlights of her life, sort of thing. Mum was a farm girl. She didn't mind getting her hands dirty. We'd sort of squabble as kids as to doing the home chores sort of thing. I think Mum ended up doing them half the time. So we sort of admitted amongst ourselves that we actually took her for granted too much. I suppose it's like that in all families, though. Yeah, Mum, we'd have animals given us to be looked after, and we saw a picture of Paddy, little Paddy Melon. Mum cared for Paddy like it was a babe. She'd be up at all hours of the night feeding Paddy. But unfortunately, after a few weeks, Paddy got suddenly sick and died, and I saw my mother cry, and I was scarred for life. Mum actually had a bit of a mischievous sense of humour. Like, she used to like watching The Nanny, but you wouldn't laugh at the jokes, but she liked watching it. But she had this sort of situational sort of sense of humour. One night I was, and she'd had a sort of a cackling sort of laugh, a wicked cackling laugh sometimes. One night I was straightening the blind on my bedroom, and the window was left open for the cat. And Mum happened, it was one night, and I just sort of didn't know what was going on, but I was... Mum was outside in the driveway for some reason, and she reached up and grabbed me with her fingernails. And I jumped with terror. I thought I'd grabbed by the biggest spider in the world. And Mum just laughed herself silly. Yeah, so that's her sort of a mischievous sort of sense of humour that she had. Yes, Mum was dedicated to her profession, and she was extra vigilant. Like, I can't stand people who half do jobs, but Mum overdid the job, which is the way that everyone should do it. And she was particularly good with bed sores. I think she'd rebandage them multiple times during her shift, and she'd come back, whenever her shift started again, and the other nurses haven't been taking care of them. But Mum could make a big bed sore close right up, and if the doctor came in to look at these bed sores, he'd have one look and say, "Get Shirley Patterson onto that." The patients had a great love for Mum. Some of them would actually cry for good reasons when Mum came on shift. She shows how much she was appreciated. When we were talking last week, Mum would always talk about don't need to be nasty to people, just use tact. And this reminded me of a story that happened with Mum when she was working. One night, one of the nurses chided Mum for not using stump bandage on one of the patients at Umina Park. So Mum took the nurse to the cupboard and said, "Look, we're out of stump bandage, but the next best thing is compression bandage." The nurse, on retelling this story, said that she got the nicest reprimand of her life. Mum shared a deep interest with all of us. There's a few geeks in the family. So Mum saw Comet McNaught in 2006, which is considered one of the great comets of the last century. And during the 80s, we'd observed auroras before it was popular, and lunar eclipse. David's got a telescope. She'll show Mum various stars in the sky. And it was always an interest in, Mum asked about the unusual cloud formation. I used to know a little bit about meteorology. So Mum was interested in nature and science and that sort of thing. I've only got a few other notes here. Mum would refer to Stephen whenever he'd turn up home as my little boy, even when he was an adult. I can't actually remember my writing here. Yes, and as far as the green flash goes, she'd tell me about it, and she'd draw a picture. I said, "I don't want a picture, I want to see a photograph to prove it." Mum had an expression, she used to say it, she'd say, "For goodness sake." And she got this from the movie, Flying 50s movie, I think it was, or early 60s, The World of Susie Wong, if you ever heard of it. Just thought I'd add it in, because I always remember, I actually say that as well, so I got that off Mum. I don't really have much else to say. Just memories, but I got through all that and added a few extra details I was told not to add, so there you go. Thanks.
Thank you. And David, anything else?
A lot of what I could say has already been said, so there's just a few things and a few comments about things. Earlier it was said that Mum was an expert knitter. Our Auntie Iris was a terrible knitter. She would knit clothes for us, like jumpers, and the sleeves would be too long, too narrow, the waist and around the belly would be too narrow or too wide. Mum could unravel the garment, roll the wool up into a ball, and while she was doing that, she would be creating a pattern from which she would then re-knit the garment so it fitted perfectly. Auntie Iris always thought she did a good job. When Mum was in training at the Burnie Hospital, the training nurses went out in the bay just off Burnie Hospital in a boat, and the boat capsized. That's where she gained her fear of swimming. It's kind of ironic then that she actually married a surf lifesaver. The quilts have been mentioned. There's one on the coffin there. We'll probably have it somewhere where people can look at it later on. And there's a table out there with some of the quilts. She entered several quilts in the Burnie show and won prizes, including first prizes for them. I think she was quite proud of that. She had a lot of sayings. Before, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And self-recommendation is no... self-praise is no recommendation. I've got that photo of Mum when she was training, qualifying as a nurse. I used to carry it around and show people. It was because I was proud of my mum. Anyway, Robert mentioned the telescope. I can remember a few years ago there was a transit of Venus, something that only happens in pairs every 170 odd years. So it was a bit of a job that had me, Robert and Mum all working together so I can get a photograph, because we didn't have a proper setup, so we had a projection screen. So Mum was involved in that and she got to see a transit of Venus. I'm not sure how impressed she was with it, but she was involved anyway. Anyway, I think that's enough for me.
Thank you, David. I have the honour to present the last tribute, which is from Shirley's brother, Morris. Morris has written, "Shirley was my only sister. We were a close family growing up, supporting each other and being taught to value relatives and animals alike. The farm was usually a busy place with crops, gardens, milking, pets and fruit picking. I remember the day Shirley was relaxing on the couch in the lounge room and the doors were wide open, and a snake came in to visit her. It circled around her and went out again. Absolutely no fuss from Shirley. My sister was a very caring, patient, selfless and considerate woman. She gave her life to her family and their needs. Shirley, your earthly journey has ended. The times we shared will never leave me." Beautiful words, Morris. Beautiful tributes this afternoon, I'm sure you will all agree. They've all, even though some repeated what others had said, I think Michelle probably summed it up in one phrase that said, "She was the real deal." And I think what I've heard this afternoon and you've heard, she was the real deal. So we've got a second set of photographs now, this time accompanied by El Condor Pasa, that beautiful song by Simon and Garfunkel, and Dueling Banjos by Eric Westberg.
Sparrow than a snail. Yes, I would. If I could, I surely would. I'd rather be a hammer than a nail. Yes, I would. If I only could, I surely would. I'd rather sail away like a swan that's here and gone. A man gets tied to the ground. He gives the world its saddest sound, its saddest sound. I'd rather be a forest than a street. Yes, I would. If I could, I surely would. I'd rather feel the earth beneath my feet. Yes, I would. If I only could, I surely would.
wasn't it? Beautiful, beautiful memories. I just wonder what Shirley would say to us now if she was here, and maybe it would be this. I know that you are struggling now that I'm not around, feeling my absence deeply. But know this truth: I am everywhere you go. I am the voice you feel without a sound, a quiet resonance in your heart. I am every step you walk, a silent companion on your journey. I am every shining light you encounter, a beacon of hope and remembrance. Meet me in a memory. Relive those cherished moments. I am there both day and night, watching over you. I am the feather at your feet, a gentle reminder of my presence. I am the wind that softly blows your hair, a tender touch from beyond. I am the whispers you feel, a silent kiss of affection. I am always there. I am the robin perched in the tree, a messenger of peace. I am tomorrow's butterfly, embodying transformation and new beginnings. But one thing I'll always be, unfailingly, is your angel in the sky, watching over you always. My love remains a testament to love and loss that transcends all boundaries. When we lose someone we love, life goes on. So it's important to think of all the good memories that you have and all the wonderful things that we've heard about today. And that'll help you to continue on. Shirley left this world on Tuesday, the 27th of May, but her spirit and her living made a difference and will continue to do so as long as each of you remember her in your hearts and carry the lessons of her life with you. You now, especially the little ones, are the representatives and the ambassadors of her legacy. She gave you all wonderful gifts of kindness, graciousness, strength, acceptance, and love. She showed you how to live with a strong and positive heart and how to be thankful for everything you have. Cherish that always. Shirley will now take her final journey to the Burney Lawn Cemetery, where she will be laid to rest. Please join her on this journey, or feel free to remain here and await the family's return. Would you all please stand?
You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Come, let me love you, let me give my life to you. Let me drown in your laughter, let me die in your arms. Let me lay down beside you, let me always be with you. Come, let me love you, come love me again. Let me give my night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again.
Spend all your time waiting for that second chance, for a break that would make it okay. There's always some reason to feel not good enough, and it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh, beautiful release. Memories seep from my veins. Let me be empty, oh, weightless, and maybe I'll find some peace tonight in the arms of the angel. Fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here. So tired of the straight line, and everywhere you turn, there's vultures and thieves at your back. The storm keeps on twisting.